Let's talk with. Do you want to take Kevin in New York?
Why not?
I feel like it's going to be a short conversation based on this.
Oh, we're talking about. Yes, I do.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Oh, Kevin.
Hi, Kevin. Long time no talk.
Hey, you guys. How you doing?
Are we talking about circumcision today?
A little bit.
Cool. Why does God care about foreskins?
Well, that's not it at all.
Okay. What did you want to talk about? Because it blows my mind. I'm sorry. It's like it's like the tag on a mattress. You just ripping it off, right?
Under penalty of law.
Yeah.
You remove this. Sorry. Continue.
Well, the reason why that particular topic sort of stuck out in my mind for a little while was because, circumcision really didn't have to do anything with the medical practice. And I want to try to prove that to you because, now, correct me if I'm wrong, there was a little bit of frustrations because I've heard other callers bring up this topic either on this show or another. And what it really had to do with was not the medical practice of circumcision on the foreskin, but that was completely misunderstood. And the reason why I say that is because what was actually meant was circumcision of the heart.
No, that is absolutely not true.
Not accurate.
Read the Old Testament. You're talking about a covenant that Abraham received from God and passed down so that God could recognize his own as a covenant between God and man. It's in the Bible. It's Old Testament and it's unambiguous. No.
I know that it was originally from around the time of Abraham, but that's when I guess the law was laid down, I guess you could say, but it was, I'm sorry?
Oh, I was going to say, and that's in the book that you believe in. We're just using your own, we're using the story that you believe to debunk the thing that you're claiming.
And here's the thing. Yes, in Leviticus 26:41, it talks about, quote, their uncircumcised hearts. Sure, that can be used as an example of a metaphor, but the reason that uncircumcised hearts mean anything at all is because it's referring to the actual process of circumcising a dick, which, by the way, is child abuse and genital mutilation and should not happen ever unless the person is old enough to decide for themselves that they want that to happen. Mm-hmm. So, no, I get where you're coming from. I know the verse you're talking about, but it's a metaphor based on the actual process of cutting off the foreskin. That's the only reason it has any meaning at all.
I agree with you, but I mean, I want to remind you guys that there was frustrations that I had that when this topic is brought up, there's always the exclusion of information. And what I mean by that, the reason why, I'm sorry?
No, go ahead. I realized I was interrupting and I wanted you to finish your statement.
Yeah, what's your frustration?
Well, it comes from a person either not being aware that this information exists or is even there in the first place, or...
What information?
It's just from a lack of reading. Like, for example, there is information that says when there's a discussion between Jesus and his disciples wanted to tear away from Jesus many times because they were torn between the things that Jesus was teaching them and Jewish law. And so the disciples asked Jesus about circumcision and said, is it right? And Jesus' answer was simply, well, if it was right, then they would have already been born that way. But the source of this only comes from an apocryphal text. And this is what I mean on how there's always the exclusion of information.
So if you're discounting a New Testament book that we didn't even bring up, then how does that new information help in our conversation?
Oh, no, it's not New Testament. It's
okay. It's an apocryphal book. Okay, so my question then is, if this is the actual position of God that, you know, circumcision shouldn't happen because, you know, if it was necessary, then it would have happened, you know, at birth. He wouldn't need to do anything about it to get you there. Then why isn't it in the actual Bible? And why have so many kids been subjected to it? Did God not think to put it in the book that everybody read, or what happened there?
It seemed like the word circumcision was used, and the thing is that even when it was, I guess you could say, given by God, that's why I was explaining to you guys that it actually meant circumcision of the heart and of the hearing, so that God's people could understand the language of parables.
Okay, that's absolutely not backed up in the Old Testament. It's not. Circumcision is used as a weapon of war in the Old Testament.
How many foreskins did David bring back?
A couple hundred.
Like 200 or some shit like that? Yeah. Are you saying that, and I'm trying to translate here for us so we can move forward.
Maybe he just had a bag of 200 feelings, I guess. 200 hearts, I guess that's a little more dark. But
a little darker, actually. Yeah, you're right.
Circumcising, you could basically take it that as they converted those people instead of the method.
Why would we do that?
Okay.
Why would we do that?
I'm actually going to dive into the Bible. You go ahead.
Okay,
I
so
need just a
my
minute.
question ultimately, Kevin, is why do we care? Because if we see today that circumcision is not backed up by science as being, there's no good reason to circumcise people, why do we need to worry about what an apocryphal text says to justify stopping doing it?
Because rightfully so, it may just be my opinion. You'd have to obviously see for yourself, but apocryphal text kind of serves as a corrective testimony in many respects to the other parts of the Bible.
No, but you're not answering the question, though. My question is, why should we care what an apocryphal text says? If we want to stop circumcising kids, and we should, why bring the apocryphal text into it at all? Why should we care?
Well, because if we're trying to find out whether it's true or not, all of this has to be considered. Like
why? What is true?
And
that we should circumcise people?
Begin with. That's part of it, yeah. But
I'm maybe I'm not following.
Like I just said. But yeah, like I just said, I mean, it's an apocryphal source that Jesus said that it's clearly wrong, and that if it was right, then, you know.
So God apparently changed his mind. So what I'm going to refer you back to is Genesis 34, unless you have more that you want to wrap up first.
I mean, you can jump in. I have final thoughts, but let's continue with this first.
Okay. Genesis 34. Is you have this entire story about Jacob and Esau, and you have this woman Dinah who is raped by a people of this town. The brothers, I believe, went to the town and said, you know what, we want to form this relationship. We want to do trade with you. We think you're good people, but we need you to become circumcised first, because we need you to have that covenant with God if we are going to, engage in trade with you. And so they went and they circumcised all the men. And then while those men were in pain, healing from their penises being cut, not their hearts changing, but specifically from mutilating their own genitals, they went in and slaughtered the people of that town as retribution for the rape of their sister. That is not, how do you get circumcision of the heart from that? By the way, I think that's an amazing Valentine's Day clip, the circumcision of the heart. I feel like there needs to be something around that because it's just beautiful.
That's actually kind of amazing.
I want to write a song. But Kevin, how do you square that circle?
Well, it looks like I've got more reading to do. But I mean, I specifically was, I mean, I did have the story of David and Abraham in mind, in which it says Abraham circumcised from his household 18 and 300.
That's a lot of
I was,
skin. That's I
but I mean,
Not a happy day.
no.
it's just like I said. I mean, I really don't think it had to do with circumcision. It had to do with conversion and.
Okay, read Genesis 34.
No,
And call us back and tell
not-
us what you think. Because that's the story that immediately goes to my head. Because
Yeah.
circumcision as a instrument of war is just not something you forget. It's brutal. It's two-faced.
Okay.
It's terrible.
Yeah, do some more reading and call back not just with your opinion on that, because we want to hear that, but also why we should care what the Bible says about circumcision. If we want to have a conversation about circumcision, and I think we should, I think it should be a larger conversation than it currently is, why bring the Bible into that at all?
But that's a conversation that we would love to have, just not on
Absolutely.
this call. Kevin, thank you for calling in.
All right. Well, thanks for taking my call. Have a good
Absolutely.
day.
Have a good rest of your day.
Peace.